Hello, welcome to Microsoft Community Insights Podcast, where we share stories to help you keep up to date with Microsoft. In this episode, we'll dive into empowering women to succeed in tech with guest Samantha St. Louis. Could you please introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. My name is Samantha St. Louis. I am VP of AI App Innovation at Atmosera, as well as an MVP in the AI service space and Foundry and an MCT.
Okay, so that's before we dive into the topic. Do you want to just introduce what your day job as a MVP and in working in AI?
Sure, of course. So, as I mentioned, I'm VP of AI App Innovations at Atmo. And so, what that means is I work very closely with our go to market team, our executive team, our sales team, our solutions architect team, our delivery team, so that we have a cohesive strategy as to how we want to go to market with AI. And most importantly, how we want to service our clients so that their AI innovations are fruitful, full of value, and help them grow as we are in the era of AI. And you kind of you get on the boat or you drown, right? So we want to
Yeah,
help our clients be successful. Most of our clients, what they want to achieve with AI is they want to be able to grow every single year with the people that they have today. A lot of them are very happy with their teams. They're very happy with their employees. They're very happy with the
yeah,
group of people that they have formed and the caliber of people. And they don't want to disrupt that ecosystem. So they want to say, how can we grow 15% year after year with the same people by using AI to get rid of very tedious tasks and allow our people to be focused on the tasks and the skills that they are truly amazing at, and the reason why they were hired. Nobody was
yeah.
hired because they write great emails, right?
No.
You're hired because you know something or you can do something that other people can't.
Yeah, lots of time I hear the terms called AI first company. They want to make AI core of the services, so every pod will have AI.
Well, so AI is kind of like this great equalizer where
Yeah,
a small company can actually compete with pretty large companies if they're leveraging AI really well and they have
yeah,
a arguably smart, a small group, but a really smart group of individuals. And so that for me is what, AI first tends to mean. And then the other part of that is when a client comes to us and says, we want to innovate with AI, we are forced to take a look at their infrastructure. We're forced to take a look at their data. We're forced to take a look at their security. So it sort of makes people and organization go back and be like, okay, what have we not been doing super well? What does our cloud look like? What does our data look like? What do we need to clean up so that we can mature and move into AI in a way that will produce value and be sustainable and scalable?
okay. So we wind back in time. So since we're talking about empowering women in tech,
Mhm.
we want to talk about your journey. So how do you start in tech? Where did you start as in IT, or did you always curious about AI?
No, I actually started as a nurse, mind you. I started as
Okay.
a nurse clinician in the intensive care unit in Canada. And from there, I actually went to work for a private company, which was one of the first health tech companies back in the day. They were very ahead of their time. They
Mm,
wanted to make the Canadian healthcare system navigable via online services because in Canada we have quote unquote free healthcare, but the downfall to that is it's extremely difficult to actually access, very difficult to navigate, and when you actually need services, it's very, very challenging. And so they were one of the first companies who sort of breached that health tech space. And I joined them initially as a clinical director, really. So I was really focused on that clinical side. And one of the challenges that we had was there was no software for this sort of thing back then, right? It was very new. And so if we wanted a solution or a piece of software, we had to build it. We had to put it together. And fast forward a couple of years, I ended up opening my own health tech company, ran that for 10 years. And I was very, picky. And again, every time we needed a software, we needed a solution, I was very unsatisfied with what was in the market. So I would build it. And kind of like most entrepreneurs, when you start, you think you have to do everything, right? So you build your own website, you build your own CRM, you build your own fulfillment centers, like all the things. So that drove me deeper and deeper into technology. And I, acquired a lot of skills, acquired a lot of knowledge, acquired a lot of statistical knowledge, during my research days. And one fateful day I encountered somebody in tech who became a close friend, and she said, you'd be really good at this stuff. And I laughed because in my head, in order to be in tech, you had to start coding at age 5, right? And I was like, it's way too late for me to be in tech. What are you talking about? Like, I can't be in tech. And she's like, you're already in tech. You don't realize it, but you've been in tech for a very long time. And so we joked, and she gave me Microsoft Learn, the website, and she said, just pick a certificate and try it just for fun. And so 5 days later, I wrote, I think it was the Power Platform Fundamentals, which I had no idea what Power Platform was. I had never used it before. So I just learned the stuff and made sense, right? It's very user-friendly. I wrote the exam, I passed, and then I brought it back to her. And I remember she said, it would take normally a couple of months, for people to actually learn this stuff and pass. And she gave me my first, hard tech opportunity. And next thing you know, I got deeper and deeper and deeper into AI, started doing AI engineering for a bunch of clients, moved into AI architecture. And I have, long history of business. So that, all tied together.
So you took Power Platform certification and then leaded to AI?
I ended up doing the Power Platform certification because I had no idea what this Learn Microsoft website was. Right. And so I just read, I was like, well, that sounds interesting. Let me do that. And so after I did that, I was like, that was great. But I went back and I saw that there was a lot of stuff about AI. And I had already been playing with AI within my own business, right, to service people. And we had automated a lot of things via AI. So dove into that, knew a lot of it already. So it was just about getting very familiar with the Microsoft toolkit.
Okay, yeah, that's quite amazing because you go from being a nurse to but you still have some transferable skills, whether as a nurse into like when you move into IT now, working in AI company.
It had been like 20 something years of me being within the IT world just because it was a necessity in my business, right?
Okay, so you already had experience some of the skills already, some technical skills already when you were a nurse, and you just wanted to take up new challenges by doing platform. Okay, so what do you think in your experience is empowering women in tech? Do you just be able to just motivate people? So what's the terms in your meaning?
Empowering women in the world of tech is a lot, more complicated than just motivating people. It's recognizing that tech is still very much a male's field, right? It's a male dominated arena. And when I started, I had been in my own company in health tech for many, many years. And healthcare is also male dominated, but I was my own boss. So it didn't apply in my ecosystem. And I hired a bunch of moms, and I'm a mom. And so I didn't really live within that daily reality. And so when I transferred to the pure tech world, if you will, right, that's a very male dominated field. And you'll be surprised, but it's actually a couple of women in the tech field who made it harder for me, because they told me, well, this is a male dominated arena. You have to mold yourself to the male dominated arena. So, wear graphic tees, wear jeans, don't wear a lot of pink, don't wear a lot of purple. Make sure your branding is very boring, blue and white and black. And for me, because I had been in corporate for so many years, I had learned that what made me stand out in the room, what made me valuable to the organizations that I worked at, were very feminine traits, in a sense, where I was able to think about the entire organization. Instead of narrowly focusing on one area, I took the entire organization into account when I built strategies, when I would build out systems, when I built out solutions. And so when I entered tech and I was told to sort of like fit in, I was like, well, doing that is, I'm not going to provide as much value as I can. I'm going to be like, dimming my light, if you will. I'm not going to be leaning into the room. And so I decided to do the opposite. And you'll notice my website, my branding it's purple and it's pink and it's, extremely feminine. My chair, is pink. And I had an enormous amount of men in technology congratulate me for it, actually, and be like, oh my gosh, this is great. This is a breath of fresh air. This is a different way of approaching things. This is a different way of diagnosing, issues in the tech industry. It's a different way of solutionizing and, being truly, authentic to the skills that you've acquired over the years. And then obviously many women who were great. So I think one of the things that we don't realize is, yes, it's a very male dominated arena. Yes, there's going to be men along your career, I guarantee you, who are going to be sexist. It's going to happen. It was part of my early careers. It is part of being a woman, and it, sucks, and it gets better every single year. However, you have to make sure that you do not become one of the women who molds themselves into the male world to the point where you then make it actually harder than the men do at making other women enter tech. I think we take some of the difficulties that exist in the tech world, and we try and fix them so badly. We try to like fit in so badly that we inadvertently make it harder than it needs to be. So no, you don't need to wear graphic t-shirts and look like a dude to be in tech. I mean, if you want to, cool, right? No problem with that. But I'll take Donna Sarkar as an example. That woman is in a fabulous dress every single time I see her. She's wearing jewelry. Her hair is, amazing. She does not dim her light at all. And it's one of the great things that I adore about her, and I barely know her.
Yeah. So, is there any challenge do you see when you work in an environment that's more male dominant than female that you see?
I'd say in this day and age, at the age that I am, I don't encounter as many of those challenges just due to I'm older. I have 5 kids. I think men and women can sense that, in people, and so they don't like to mess with people that they know that they can't mess with. So it's not something that I encounter as much. I think this is I mean, I still do encounter, but the frequency at which I encounter it versus when I was 20 is a huge difference. It still happens. Being told that you're going to be assigned to a project because the business client is woman led, and so you'd be a good fit because of your chromosomes. Comments about what to wear and how to dress, and your makeup, and comments from women who tell you, don't be too feminine, and that sort of thing. It still happens. It definitely still happens. But for my part, honestly, I have to say that in my community of Microsoft specifically,
Yeah.
I have a ton of male friends, you including,
Yeah.
and they are the most amazing people, and they have elevated my career. They have elevated me. They have motivated me. They have been kind to me. They have been recognizant of my skills and my knowledge. They have never spoken to me or treated me like I knew less or I was less capable. They've never commented on my appearance. Like, honestly, for me, and maybe I'm privileged in that way, but since I have been in the tech world, I have encountered a handful of people that have given me sexist comments, which, I mean, I'm older, so I basically put them back in their place and moved on, right? But I have a huge network of incredibly supportive men in technology. I think that I don't know if it's Microsoft specifically, because I am very ingrained into that world, but people are just really great within the tech world. They're very they're curious, they're very growth oriented, very friendly, very community oriented. So personally, I'd love to say, yeah, let's whine about it and let's complain about. I have not experienced it as much in the MCT MVP, male tech community. I work, with within a company that obviously has more men than women.
Yeah.
We
Because I
you know
think at my place, I had one of the like a solution architect that's a lady, and then rest of them is like a male. So the ratio is you can see it's there.
the ratio is a problem. And so when I speak at a conference, for example, I remember
Yeah.
starkingly, there was one conference in Dallas I went to. There was 250 people in the room. There was one table with 4 women. That's
Cool.
it. Everybody else, was guys. And I remember thinking, I need to knock this out of the park. I need to show those ladies, because they were all very young, that they belong, in this room. And so I think part of it too is just we need to get to girls younger
Yeah.
and tell them that technology is a great career option and it is an opportunity, because for a lot of women that I know, once they are in the tech world, they're treated extremely well. It's just that I don't remember once in school being told that tech was a possibility. Even though I was great at computer science, even though I was great at math, even though I was great in statistics and in science, it was just not, you go in medicine, you go in nursing, you go to
Yeah.
veterinary school, that sort of thing. But nobody tells you, have you considered tech? So I think that if we get to girls really when they're younger, and we encourage them to explore technology as a possible career, that's going to help a lot.
Yeah. Plus, you don't really need to be very, very smart to be in tech. Someone can, as long you got the people skills, soft skills, every skills is transferable into tech and
Yes.
willingness to learn.
Yeah, tech has this long history of gatekeeping, right?
Yeah.
Where we make things sound and look more complicated than they actually are, making people believe, that they don't belong in tech. But in reality, we have a lack of soft skills in tech, right? A solutions architect, a really good solutions architect, has great social skills, and we need more of that. So, I have 5 kids. I have 4 boys and 1 girl, still male dominated within my house. And, I just finished organizing their summer camps for the summer. So 9 weeks of themed, individual camps. And somebody asked me, oh, are they all, doing the same camp? And I said, yes. They're all doing, a robotics camp. They're all doing
Nice.
a camp. They're all doing a medical doctor camp. They're all doing a circus camp and a sports ultimate camp and language arts camp. And, my boys need to learn female traits, if you will,
Yeah.
and my girl needs to learn, the other way around. I forced my boys to go to gymnastics camps over
Yeah.
spring break because they kept saying, "Oh, it's a girl thing." I was like, "You have no idea what you're talking about." And they went to gymnastics camp and they came back and they're like, "That was awesome."
I guess both of them, the boys and the girls, can learn from each other, and then later on they'll want to know which direction they want to go to their career, whether
Yeah,
in tech, whether it's a doctor or anywhere else with sports. So,
exactly.
so is there anything that you're doing at the moment to drive women into tech?
So I'm working on a couple of projects. I am wanting to, first of all, I am writing a book right now.
Yeah.
I'm writing a book on AI capital allocation. So that's more around, centered towards organizations who want to innovate with AI, who want to invest in AI, and making sure that it is sustainable, scalable, and value driven over the decades to come, right? We don't want this to become a money pit. We want it to be, a multiplier. And the other thing that I'm working on is the possibility of creating some content around how to build a career in tech, because tech is one of these arenas where you can take a traditional route, right? You can do a bachelor's in computer science and then
Yeah.
specialize, but
I,
it's
I
less and
guess,
less common.
yeah, the best route is like do like a boot camp or like training or something. Academy.
Exactly. So I'm trying to put together some sort of like crash course on here are the different ways that you can break
Yeah.
into the tech world, depending on if you're early career or maybe you're doing a career shift, right? And you've been in healthcare or you've been in sales or whatever the case may be, right? And you want to shift into technology. And the best, easiest, and most straightforward way of doing it. And one of the things I explain to people when I do speak to them about switching their careers is everything has a cost, right? I had this conversation with my husband recently because he's back in school, if you will, to become a train conductor.
Yeah.
And I said, everything has a cost, right? If you want to make a good income and you want to have a great schedule and you want to work from home and all of these things, you're going to have to study, right? It might not be in a traditional university, but it's going to be Microsoft Learn. It's going to be a boot camp. It's going to be, on your own time. You're going to have to study. You're going to have to learn skills. If you don't want to study and you don't want to learn skills, but you still want to make a good income, it's usually going to be work where it's either really crappy work, right, that nobody wants to do, or like plumbing, right? You still have to go to school, but it's work that a lot of people don't want to do, or lineman, or my husband, being a train conductor. They have horrifying schedules, but they make good money without having to study a whole lot because that's the trade-off. So everything has a trade-off. And the trade-off with tech is you need to study. And you not only need to study to get into tech, you need to study long term for the entire length of your career,
Yeah.
right? I have to devote time every single day to stay up to date with my skills, especially with AI. I mean, everything is constantly changing. So
Yeah, I guess one of the skills that everyone will need to have is that you need to be more of an interest. So you need something that ignite your like flame to be interesting to study, because you can study it and then you'll be like worn out and not interested into it anymore.
absolutely. Well, it's one of the great things about tech is there's so many arenas that you can specialize yourself into. You're
Yeah,
not stuck in one place. You can spend 10 years in SharePoint and then shift gears to something else, right?
yeah, that's true.
Nobody's going to say no, right? A lot of those skills are transferable, and a lot of that knowledge base is available for free online. Um, and tech changes dramatically day to day to
Yeah,
day. So there's always more to learn and try and develop.
yeah. Sometimes I like to tell people that in order to learn something, try to make it fun. So like develop something and like an application that's part of your hobby. So
Mhm.
you're very willing to learn more from it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. So as we come into this episode, is there any last minute thought on how you can drive people, like more women into tech?
I think if women show up in technology, may that be in conferences, may that be in the boardroom, may it be in meetings, may it be on LinkedIn. If women show up as their true self and they don't feel the need to fit themselves into a mold, right? And they allow themselves to take place, right? It's just going to create more space for women to feel comfortable, to come into the world of tech. And, you have to think about, there were women in tech 20, 30 years ago who started where there was literally no women, in tech. And they made that space for me, right? And all the women who are in tech today. We have to remember that although we have the privilege that other women have, paved that space for us, we too have to continue in paving that space for more women. And I think as parents, right, we have to make an effort to be conscientious of this and introduce it to our children. Putting together summer camps, putting together boot camps, putting together any type of resource that introduces kids and young women to the world of tech is beneficial.
Yeah. You can always switch career, like come out of, not started in tech like you did, and then go into tech by doing a boot camp, like you said, and to develop the skills, because every little skills that you pick up in workplace are transferable. So.
Absolutely. And I mean, when you think about it, I mean, not everybody, but most people in the workforce today are a lot more tech savvy than the workforce in general, 15, 20 years ago, because operating tech is just part of your daily life, no matter what you do. My mom is, significantly older than you and I. She works in a bank, right, as a financial advisor, and she uses AI, and she uses the Microsoft suite. She has no choice, right? Everything is done online, and she even uses the system. Because I remember I worked in a bank, I was significantly younger, and the platform that we used to do teller banking was like a command center. It's a black screen, and you enter codes, you enter, commands. And so the people today in the workforce in general have more, not everybody, there are exceptions, but people have more tech skills. When I started off as a nurse, everything was paper charting. There was only one computer in the entire ICU unit. Nobody knew how to open the thing except that one night secretary that sent in the blood test. And the only thing we used it for was to print the stickers to put on blood vials. That's all we used it for. That was it, right? Today, nurses have iPads. So people are just more tech savvy than they used to be. So the jump is a lot more doable.
Yeah, I agree. I guess the only concern when people get older and then they're not aware of like the danger into tech when you're there.
Cybersecurity is a big thing. Yeah.
Yeah. But as you're young, it's a good, exciting field to go and learn, because it's constantly evolving and stuff, and it's quite competitive as well in tech.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks a lot for joining this episode, Samantha. So I hope the viewers learn the importance of getting more women in tech, and some of the tips on how you can actually show up and drive more initiative like Samantha does, and one of the book. Yeah. So is the book that you're writing, is it be available, or is it just?
Not yet. We still have a while to go. It is in process.
Yeah. So hopefully by this year or next year. So, exactly. And we'll keep you posted. No worries. Thank you. Bye.